This is CHARIOT.
Hello, mi wakwaba eba CHARIOT TV ejumedie so. Midi Derrick Danso. Se na onum ne da no, se Nyankopon hyiaye na omaye nkwa ne ya wakwanya. Na atwase ye gibre, ne ye fa ne twerosem, ne esuamu ade, ne enyamu ntiase. Ebise ye kɔ ye nnwuma so, ye kɔ ye ba no. Na wo kai se wo nkwaje enso, ehu hia yie pa. Se o kan 3 John Nyankopon asem se Odofo me de nka de mese oni se ebesi uye wo honam na afa nso e wo honhum ade nyina mu no Onyankopon pese esi uye ne se anti na ebraso se wakọ onwuma so a sa bre de na waba fie se wo mpon ye mpo a bia na wonam kwan so a bia na ukọ fie enti we de yesrew se wo hwen wo ka mu a ye che obi bia se wo hwen e wo fie a fra odofo fra papa fra onua fra mame na montina se ka che won se CHARIOT TV apologetic amre no aso na ye esua Nyankopon asem ne enyamu ntiase a emudo yie pa ene ne esua ne ene ye esua can I trust my English Bible metumi afa my English Bible no na makase sa Bible yi ene Onyankopon de ma ya ana se na mesifa aka no ana twi no na e de Nyankopon de ma ye ana kasa no emudi ohimpo no de ma ye last 2 weeks so ka ye hu na so ne esua de a ya jibre guest ayenyan wo enchen or a preacher out free committee 8 and 9 honestly speaking say o join ya hu say brother wa bi pa watena Bible hu sua Bible nya no nko a wagibra hwe history mu so age research na waboaye ametumi tinyama bebre ase enje kwa meda na di achero na me kai wo say we apologetic I what CHARIOT TV CHARIOT TV or program we ready ba on chain te we first time I will join here we the message say obe subscribe to YouTube channel no so unya subscribe here no ba modern no why afi unya like a Facebook page na unya follow here so ba modern and follow this year you were big surprise with the mobia enti best so unya follow here na enkoso anene ye enya nkita ho die na ade ba ko bi mu so wo ne say e bia na obi up devotionals pa so no papa so usua Nyankopon asem utumi read the Bible but untumi nye nti uhia guide don't worry CHARIOT TV, your app, so go cry, a friend with Daily Walk with God. Daily Walk with God. Oko Play Store. Now search Daily Walk with God. Ubehu sa app yi ewo honom na aboa ewo wadesua mu ne anopa umpaibo ene nia wo ye nyina no aboa sa kwan no so. Ebi nso na open more Bible study materials, videos. Ni nyina bi o Daily Walk with God app no so. I be boa ye pa. Ebi na wo do use app Apple phone. And I say we use iPhone nti Daily Walk with God you know I Spotlight on the Word and so app. So call Spotlight on the Word app ne so a ubenya Bible study materials, videos, articles, audios ni nyina na boa ama won so onyankopon a won som no ene entiase a wonya okristosumu no emu etumi adoyie pa. So waka ye ho a na won say yemre no aso enti na o kai adofo say nkomo na ya sha ase no Mamina me guest our studio lady enchel na afi yento ayen komo no so. Preacher, emo akwa ba.
Yeah.
Me for African print ne pa o.
That's it.
Any da ho.
Any sit down. That's it.
Me te say otu kwan.
Yes, we could do Kumasi kakra.
Kumasi?
Ba Masaba.
Asaba.
Good.
Kumasi abodi die as a Kumerica o.
Yeah.
Kumasi for na ye chache obi bia.
Yeah.
Oba Kumasi last we dey yento aso e beka Kumasi asem later. Last week, I said, can I trust my English Bible?
Yeah.
Now, me kai say, oh, the emfa, I assume maybe what a translation is. Oh, me read it the old kind na. Okay, I say, translation is a rendition of a piece of literature from one language to another language. Sana o chair me
it's a rendition from a parent language.
Oh, a parent language.
Or a language that for say Bible no.
Okay.
Nyankopon kasa o me twere wo mu. Na ya dane akọ kasa onipa ye pese o kenkan twere no so no. Ne kasa o kan. Nti for say Bible kasa e twere wo mu no. Ya dane aba brofo, and ya dane aba twi mu. You see, that is a translation.
Sure.
Then last week you can have some. And I think the last week you see what versions are.
Yes.
Spending some time.
And one interesting thing last week, okay, making impression on me, power say, that was last 2 weeks actually. Say, some of the Bibles are who are around, you know. We should even be careful because
I gave one example.
Cotton patch versions.
Yes, cotton patch versions. You can do research a cotton patch version. There's another version. I think Reader's Digest. Reader's Digest Bible.
Reader's Digest Bible.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's some of them. They are taking even Bible passages which they don't think it should be there in the Bible.
Oh, really?
Some they take them off.
But could you me check here? I forgot to bring it. I'll say okay, Genesis 1. I'll say in the beginning created the heaven and earth. I'll say in the blackness of the darkness of the. I say or rhyming.
Yes.
Their aim is to I say rap this hard.
Yes. It's because of Bible selling is business. It's big time business. Kofo we bring now episode moton.
Yeah.
How to get it to the people? Senebeya. You even feminist Bible kind of maybe a Bible no or render bidia as a maybe as a Bible no as a putting man rule. For instance, 1 Timothy chapter 2. Yeah. I say person men in a bonfire then he tend to render it differently. Senebeya it will fit the feminist movement.
And I think I also saw a Pidgin Bible.
Yes, they are all there. They are all Bibles there.
Yes.
And interesting say your chair for adwina so but say na your topic na you discuss it today no. Yeah. Meti me de me ho ato me bro for Bible so can I trust my English Bible? I don't know ya bomodin bia say pese ye ti ase na ye hunu mu ti ase. Na ye sha ase ko abakosam kakra say na English Bible na sha ase develop we. Yeah. Ana ya twi ni pa adwina so how it came about and the direction afanyina abidru sese de adru. And say there are multiple Bible versions on the market. Called Bible marketer. Recently I call there's Lagos Hope. So what in a ship that's about Africa and some countries motor books is quote unquote Christian organizations and I went to buy Bibles. There are a lot of Bibles, and Bible versions see plenty in the world at the moment as one. Indeed, these were things are not air foundation and not yet building on. But wait a minute, John, but don't you think it's very interesting? Say
people are so much interested in getting access to the Bible, but very few people are reading it.
Yes, the Bible stands as still as the best, the most or widely read book in the world,
and most bought book as well.
Yes, as well. And the sad thing is most people read about the Bible, but they hardly read the Bible.
They read about the Bible, but hardly read the Bible. Wow.
See, this famous 80s, Richard Dawkins.
Yeah.
I think one of his show, I've forgotten the exact show. Interview with a denominational guy. No, defended, said there's a God, and Dawkins, as we know him, evolutionist. Yes. So one of his charges are now Christians, or level against Christianity. He said, well, the people who call Christians don't even read the Bible. They just sit on Sunday and treat the Bible as maybe a Sunday newspaper. Because Sunday as a newspaper, you see, already Sunday newspaper digest. Okay, no, Sunday, then we are preaching. Then a passage you quote, and then you pick it up, you write it somewhere, and you open it, read it, and maybe later, maybe be a Wednesday, as a far kind baby. Now we don't just study the Bible. So majority of the people, they don't know what the Bible actually says. Yeah. And that is the sad thing. So it's worth studying. Say you bet me how a Bible come across, comes in the Bible, how it works, how the translation and things work. So the be a foundation one, a bit me a boy. You may be any at times solve some of the issues that pop up. Last time Mikhail said I went to a congregation not issue and the issue has something to do with a translation. It has something to do with, it has something to do with translation. But see, in your understand any basis, anyhow some of these things are coming up, it kind of helps in the baby boy the party.
Okay. But even adding up to this with Richard Dawkins here and Awoken, I think a group in Sunya research said now it looks like said not just Christians not reading the text of the scriptures, but majority of atheists are equally not doing their own research as well. So people just hold positions and because of Obi. And I think it's dangerous. That is why I hear our lesson. He said we don't want to blindly growing up we've been learning the Bible, reading especially the English Bible. Even in most traditional homes, there's always an English Bible. Yes.
Before you go, what kind of but my main friend
Sure.
Growing up, my mom something strange. Growing up, I came to realize. You see, the book of Genesis, the story of Jacob. Yes, it was Jacob. Like now Odu baby na Odaye.
Oni obofo ne enya nkita hudie no.
Yeah, na abofo daimu afrosane na oni abofo rese na you see that story, that encounter. You see, growing up, I used to think that those two stories happen at the same time.
Oh, really? Okay.
You see, but when you read the Bible for yourself, there are two distinct cases, there are two distinct passages, different passages. But it's as a new man here can literature, your class teachers, some of the things that we are being taught, it forms so many things in our minds. Say how the guy is dreaming, that any and ochi or before back.
Yeah.
And before yes, or before the catching say a day channel.
And most preachers also just oppose it like they all happen at the same time.
All these things are things that we have not personally read the Bible for ourselves, and that's clicks on that. There are a lot of them in the Bible. We can be pointing them to you for you to see. Say we have not read the Bible. That is why some of these things are coming in. And I would say we must study some of these things.
And last week one key thing now. Last week I think maybe we can highlight and move on. Angels.
Yes. Oh, okay.
Say,
I was trying to point out the difference between translation and transliteration.
Okay.
You see, translation is a odane kasano. Ba kuda kasana odane yako onipa o kan kasa mu.
Yeah.
Say ne be obeti ase. Nti a good example and it says okwa apampo mu a the word angelos, see angelos no kasa apampo fro wo mo twere Bible no. Say be a Paul and John our Bible. You see the word angelos. But angelos no say of spell with Greek English correspondent to A N J double I think J Leos or something.
Yeah.
Good. And the angelos no say o transliterate here angel.
Yeah.
But o translate here angel.
But or translate
here messenger.
Okay.
So at times the translators because of one person yeti ho ase send angelos now can look at the context baby e hye no now Jane say well a heavenly messenger then they transliterate instead of translation into no matter than angel into what kind of English Bible you see angel now be a messenger but that means a messenger word messenger in the English Bible and the word angel in the English Bible are two different words. They are the same words.
Okay.
But one of them is a transliteration and one of them is a translation.
Okay.
So say be ya ebema chiefo adwen ate ase eba ho. Nti sana ebeboa na yenso metimi a follow up on that. Yeah.
Wow. And ebeboa metimi a follow up on that. We here Chariot TV apologetic Jumedia yedi no eni na me kai will say wunya invite others Mr. invite others to join us. Na enkomo no the pa already I can see say some of the comments are coming in on Facebook. Say nyankopon ya no later on or share YouTube so you can leave your comment in the comment section. Interestingly, we need more people to look at this particular material because nipa bebre and share that NJ time and share say English Bible nimpo saying that you betim dey ho so ama sometimes skeptics impo sorry ka say na Bible no so na on no kasa onim the history behind the English Bible. Last week preacher oboy me be who say the origin and the growth of the English Bible no me kai so me hear the Latin Vulgate to my a picture be on the screen from the Latin Vulgate be who Jerome Bible and I can say minim say ona o tie no say you bet my Bible quiz ketwa bi ama you anu na tie na o can say the father of English Bible. So obi etimi ka comment section mu dia ke de be pa oni ma answer na fato comment section onom
good
o twa ni ama 5 pesos o twa ni ama 5 pesos and that was a question. The father of the English Bible there are two screens so I design Abraham the two screens so the father of the English Bible patronima fato comment section say we no be fan to one man you may provide the answer and you keep your 5 pesos and one other thing I also a good highlight say father of English Bible no did he translate the entire Bible or not and also no answer na to comment section on. Okay, so moving to today's conversation, how was and how is English translations being done? Okay, how is it being done today?
Okay, me that's it. Say mathematics how these translations work and how our mere translation. There are 4 things that we have to understand.
Okay.
Nyoman naibia they didn't can say yetiasie na inya hontiasie. They didn't can what we call the underlying text.
Underlined text.
Yes.
Okay.
The link I'll see how the underlying text works. I'll see what we call the translators theology.
Translators theology.
Akwana odane Bible no abano. I see the theology as in.
Say I say theology na say.
Say you see some Gideon's animal.
Okay.
It comes in. We will talk about that in detail. Anna, I was say yes about the translations philosophy. Okay. Translations philosophy and also say
translations philosophy.
We will talk about that in details. Anna, I also say you look at 1 or 2 things about translation difficulties.
Difficulties.
Yes, and then your man what that thing. But you pick it up on the first one on the underlying text. Okay. You see, I was say a teophonia say see Bible no as we have it. You see, for instance, let's take something like the book of Ephesians.
Yeah.
Paul and the true Ephesus for human.
No correct.
But or true Ephesus for human, oh Greek castle. The book true the Greek language.
Yes.
Now Greek language, the Paul and Casa Eden in such we don't have it.
Okay, this is interesting. You are saying the original manuscript and as original writings of the New Testament.
Yes, we don't have it. We can't even identify it. You see, you can't identify it because we don't have it, and that's the moment you can search online and don't. Remember, we a Christian. You can say, "Hey, then how do you get it?"
Because you need the translation.
Yes, good. The Paul Troy, we call it autograph.
Autograph.
The original, what we call original, the often original manuscript. We call it autograph.
Okay.
Into the poor one Casadin and Satroy, the Peter and Casatroy, the Old Testament, the Jeremiah Troy.
Yeah.
Those things, those original, by the ones they wrote themselves, we don't have them. And we don't know the whereabouts of them. See, let me give a correspondent analogy in the Old Testament. For instance, you see, Old Testament in the say Apomadaka. Right?
Yes.
You realize that when we went to the New Testament, nobody knows whereabouts of that.
Yes, the Ark, Ark of Covenant.
Yes, they don't know the whereabouts of it. Nobody knows where it is, how it got. We don't know. And I believe, well, the Bible didn't say it, but I believe that if God were to allow that to continue, yes, possibly that also. And if possibly someone would have allow those things to stay, say we preserve it, and that alone and things like that, it will create a lot of and a lot of complications. So what Paul wrote himself, we don't have it. But the thing is, Paul or the command Ephesus, you see, and Ephesus, they were expected to read the manuscript, the autograph, and their poetry. Ephesus for or some kind. But when they were reading them, people were making copies.
Okay.
In the Ephesus for someone in the church will say, "Okay, I want a copy." Then they will pay a scribe to make copies of it. Scribe here, Obi or like a writer, scribe.
Common like as Obi and Obi Kasana translation.
No, they maybe be always you go and pay a scribe, then they copy the book of the Ephesians, that letter number.
Yeah.
Now, Ebia, Obi copy, then they start sending it. We send it, and at times they make mass copies. They make mass copies of the same copy. Indeed. One, we don't have the original manuscript. They make mass copies of sa copy. Yes.
Okay. Not the original autograph.
Yes, it was original autograph. They made mass copies of some of them.
Okay.
They were also they copying. Fans me copy. They Paul actual one.
Yeah.
Me Obi suba me baba kase okay we make a copy. We make a copy of my copy.
Okay. I get it.
We have copies upon copies upon copies.
Yeah.
And so what they here when they date them, they are of, some of them are of different ages or time frames. See the it's telling you that some of the copies were made copies from them, copies, plenty copies. And interestingly, the New Testament and the Bible as a whole is the most authenticated document we have in the entire world. In other words, it's the most supported or attested document we have. There were a lot of manuscripts to verify at the crown.
Wow.
So what's the bit here?
That's interesting.
A lot of copies, thousands upon thousands.
So we can actually verify what we have.
Yes. Let's say there one copy maybe and the other sutra. See, where we can have a doubt, say, well, this thing, there are copies upon copies upon copies upon copies. That is the one thing. There are a lot of copies of them. Many. If we have manuscript, if we have a full, a section of maybe a full gospels, no, like Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Now you copy now. You better discover now, boom, something like that.
Yeah.
If we have a parchment, small section of one section. No, your copies upon copies upon copies there.
Yeah. So
that's the first thing I was here to say. The original autograph, in at the moment.
Sure.
Then the other problem that also comes in with it, that is when we look at the copies, they are copy autograph. They are discovered there are slight variations among them.
I was about to say, me copy. If I say, me na makakoje the Paul Debre as a for Ephesus. Me making me copy. To making me copy we no na me dey ma maybe a Minia James. Minia James no so je no making copy but maybe me scribe na copy no. E na be o mistake.
Yes.
Na me come James say James no be mistake.
Yes. So at times we see we see variations between them.
Variations. Okay.
Variations, just the differences. Some of them has to do with spelling of a name.
Okay.
Some of them has to do with omission of a text. Maybe one passage being a film. All of them because they were not versed
Interesting.
They were not versed. Like they were.
You said they were your Bible. They were not verses.
They were
not chapters.
They were not having chapters. They were and that tells you how people that were studying the Bible in those days.
Wow.
And they say, oh, kind as my phone you may train watching. Acts chapter 8. Now they say Ethiopian unity. She has seen the more kind Bible. Don't be thinking that he was sitting with a tablet or something, punching and pressing phone, or maybe with the Bible like this.
Will be a chapter 53. Says no kind.
Bible look record say. Translate a training someone or kind or to know. It's not easy like that. It was a bomb you sir. Working kind sir no obisa akwa say na. One seven akwa
working. On one gasa no one seven no bufro.
See interesting but we have the luxury of verse Bible.
Yes.
It was a boom sir. So scribes no so no ebu on so they are mass copies no. Yeah. What happened is that they have someone dictating. Someone said you'll be in the when na or dictate or can or must read the book of Ephesians and about maybe 10 or 20 scribes at all. And now all dictate na omunina so at times we see scribal errors. Sometimes omission say be our bread. They were human. Or more copy no, they were human.
This explains a lot of things. Yes. Because that would even mean say, and I would like to ask about the scribes because did they do their work so strictly? And I say there were people who were like and sometimes university you copy notes lecture me reading who we na give me notes now be anochi notes now be papa kwa me notes I compare no you never show different things okay but the same reading
okay my memoir you see when you were Juma copy school now copy
me pen them crowd me up okay
scribes no that was their work. It's the better matter say the work of people like monks. See the better image you look at people like monks, they spend their entire life monk need meditation. For long hours, days now just trying to meditate on something. That is his work. The Juma you see, so someone who has dedicated his life or expert in copying and interesting is you see Jews for instance let me take for instance the Old Testament Jew for na or may happen that them Old Testament for you see say scribe will be copy nyankopon asebon they have a way of checking whether say scribe way the right copy no correct and not correct.
Okay,
they knew the number of the alphabets from English they knew the English word there. The number of times the word "the" occurs in that text. Wow. It's a not do that number. It means
that's serious.
Yes,
that's minute.
Yes, that is why you have to catch actually they are
Matthew 5 verse 17 to 18.
They were particular about concerned about the small details of even they were even particular about the small things and details about it. So there were people who were very devoted to things like that.
Yes,
and yet to say no, they were people who were highly dedicated to that work of copying and but there's that now so many painted at times there are scribal errors. And at times be a scribe mistake can be carried on for thousands of years.
Okay,
that is, you will see that there will be maybe thousands of copies that will be made from that scribal error. And at times it happens. So that is the first thing I will say. But underlining text.
Later on, we would have to come back and look at what we mean by scribal errors. We go bit if you know Bible no mistake. So we will look further into
those things to talk about that. But you see that talking about the night test that you can watch them. The copy autographs in the but there are copies. Manuscript copies plenty. Indeed, for say me perceive your translation. The first thing is I have to first find out how to construct the Greek text. For say episode 4 Paul draw in Greek. I have to first construct what the book of Ephesians in Greek look like.
Okay,
that's construction. Say meaning answer my translation.
Sure,
that is the meaning of underlying text.
Yes.
Indeed, there are a lot of schools of thoughts about that. One is that one believes what we call the critical method. Critical method they say first they look at all the autographs. They are copy Egufako. Now they realize time are poor more. And poor much there were people who were Christians. No, mudi poor much shortly. We call them patristic writers.
Patristic writers.
That is the church. What do you call church fathers?
Okay, patristic fathers. Patristic writers.
Writers. Those people. Yeah. Omo preacher, no more preaching. You see, we have some of their sermons and their writings and things there, and they were quoting Bible.
To say they no be preacher no quote Genesis, what came from the New
Testament is so far, for instance, like the New Testament, so far patristic writers now sambu omu writings in you can literally reconstruct a majority part of the New Testament.
This is interesting.
They were quoting the New Testament and things like that in there, and there were other versions. You see, before the English translation, there were other versions. There were Latin, Vulgate, and those. Almost those things, information available to them in the Then they try to look at what actually is coming out of all those things to construct
the text of the scriptures.
So we call that the critical text. Some of the versions that we use based on that. They may not technical stuff. I know the surface, so I'm just trying to give a brief. Then we go to. Okay. That is the first thing. So we have what we call underlying text. Sure. But underlying text, we believe we say we need what we call a critical text. Some people also believe that we need to use what we call textus receptus.
Textus receptus,
or the received text.
Received text.
A good example, the King James. King James defenders use what we call the textus
receptus.
A group of manuscripts. Their translation form. Others believe that let's use the majority text.
Majority text.
They don't consider church fathers. They look at manuscript. Maybe do wanna assembly. If I say Ephesians chapter 1 verse number 1, then they compare all the manuscripts. No matter baby do wanna
no more do also the
so they are translation that based on majority text.
Okay.
It depends on the underlying thing. For translation, you have to first ask yourself the first question of what is the underlying text.
Sure.
They're almost based on to discuss their issues, and also, the next issue that I will say Unipane dealing with, and he said the translators' theology.
Okay.
Akwana or your translation, the theology. You see, some of the translators are of the Bibles, New English Bibles. Some of them don't even believe that God. The Bible is God's word.
Translation.
Some of them don't even believe. Some of them, like Good Speed. Yes, I got Good Speed. There's one.
I have heard the name before.
I think I've translated. I've forgotten the exact translation. One of the translator. Oh, they don't believe that. You see the point. So the translator has to have a high regard
for the text.
The Bible are using English Bible are using also Ufa Bible the translators no high regard for Nyankopon asem. Say ade no Nyankopon they believe that ade no Nyankopon asem. Nipa no translating if you say be about degree or doctorate or Greek. Now onyo bia or believe say ade no Nyankopon asem the views and things or they call different.
Okay.
Do you get it? That is one. And you also have to understand such translators because they are all say if so some of them they come from denominations.
So at times
yes, at times their theology, their belief or sometimes come to influence.
For example, when it comes to the doctrine about the deity of Jesus,
yes,
most translations, some translations are being affected by that.
It's sinking because of the translator's theology. That is the second thing. I will say, Unipa, Osia, Nyankopon asem no person of English Bible also otiase. The third thing, and so also otiase. And what we call the translations philosophy, translating philosophy, and my main shall say I'm breaking the year because the translating philosophy. You see, aside the theology, no any text now was some Greek text, a packing in ego. It's see a packet or better translate good or be a beam or can. Well, so person or translate here. There are philosophies are used. 2 major 2, but there is a minor one which we won't discuss that much. But I'll say it. The first major one is what we call the formal equivalence.
The formal equivalence.
Formal equivalence. I will explain. But remember a textbook definition of the word formal equivalence so that we can base on that. See,
sure. Formal
equivalence in the meaning is the words and the nuances of the original as literal as possible. Just say translator now or the urban or the free kasaba ko abano or for the Greek text no or say the Greek kasa no inia or what adneswa or for word we are no apply the correspondent in English. No for word we no apply the correspondent in English. No for we no apply word in correspondent English. No I try any correspondent. No I try read here. Say does it make sense? If it makes sense, then he maintain that. Or if you have to maybe add some word or something like that. No, so it is as formal equivalence, you know, he or try to go for what we call word for word.
Oh, okay.
Wow, into taking one word in
Greek, thought for thought, had a free bar.
Good. Or taking one word in Greek.
Sure.
Now what done no about English. No, taking one word in Greek. What done about English?
NASB.
Yes, it leads towards
that direction. Word for word, no. Okay.
But Mamin can't for the start say there is no single translation that is purely formal equivalent.
Okay.
There's none like that.
Okay.
There's none.
Okay. That is good. I know that ahead of time.
He pick one word, then he tries to do that. He pick one word and he tries to do that. He pick one word and he tries to do that. Pick one word and try to do that. Inti offer words na or translate na ba. Na afi or read ya. Say, does it make sense to the English reader? Then you try to adjust it, and I will show you a charter. You will see some Bibles and where they stand.
Okay.
The second philosophy of translation, what we call the dynamic equivalence.
Dynamic equivalence,
or normally called the functional equivalent, or the other kind of say thought for thought.
Yes.
In the dynamic equivalent, let me give a test.
Where I say we share elective tree called normal tree. You can't tree, but share opinions or can't tree. But in some way, thought for thought. Where had a free.
Okay, good. In the thought for thought, in textbooks they call it dynamic equivalence.
Dynamic equivalence,
or functional equivalence. Okay. In fact, I've forgotten the this philosophy in the Bible. I think. Or your mom can't NIV inside the microphone. He is popular for the kind.
There was another version I know almost 30 right from preface.
Yes.
It's a thought for thought. NIV Casacho.
Yes, NIV.
Right from the start.
Yes. They are NIV people. Bill Mounce, who call internet now search Bill Mounce. He defends functional equivalence or dynamic or thought for thought. Okay. And let me give you a textbook definition. You see, they attempt to convey the meaning of the text in a free idiomatic English, without much regard for the exact wording of the original. My just said, you see, but I can say formal equivalent of a word we know a translate, of a word no a translate, of a word no a translate. In the final word for word or literal, trying to do literal rendition. But formal dynamic equivalence in there already Greek no. Is already Greek no. Now what try say send you see TSC or Greek no more. See what they are placing in English language for the English reader to understand. So what let me just that's why they say thought for thought.
Yeah.
In the Greek yes, you already Greek no.
Yes.
You're reading in Greek no. Now send you see TSC or Greek no. Then he try to write it in English for you.
Okay.
That is a thought for thought. You see, they all have their strengths and their weaknesses.
Yeah.
Let me give you an example. You see, word for word or formal equivalence, you know, at times it is difficult to get word for word in English language.
Well, it makes it a bit. Yeah,
good. And I will show you some of the issues. But with the dynamic equivalence, you see, and the problem back on say, see, a translator no becomes an interpreter rather than a translator. Because Greek at times they intend to interpret rather than translate it in a language, and that gives a problem. In the same kind, there is no single Bible that is 100% formal
equivalence or
and
dynamic.
The extreme is the paraphrase or the free range, the free translation. Paraphrase. Good. Something like that. Or no kind Bible now. The
devotional, you know.
Yes. Is your kind BBA no or the shame no the a good one is our expanded translation like amplified.
Amplified, okay.
So amplified. Amplified. But say ya wa baba near maybe or the baby. Why a message? The Bible defend the message. I have some
evangelism been I was shocked.
Yes, I have someone in the house now. Yes, at times we should not be there. So maybe ebia ope team bia ma bibia so we ko because ono ade kasa bia hihye nioma bi mu na wa wo so no na what good, and that is it. But I want to show a chart. Say okay. Chart bia they depict, let's look at that. Yeah, chart. They depict the entire Bible. No Bibles, most of the Bibles are arranging in these philosophies. Yeah. Say the be bit me ma etiefo adwena tiase. So okay. Chart no so on your extreme or on your extreme left. So then can say what was the interlinear or top one? What was the interlinear or by interlinear as in you will see Young's literal translation YLLT. Right? It means that they are more towards the former. You see, also more formal, yeah, and a more functional. And a free extreme a second on your right, maybe right. Good.
Free range, you know.
Good. You see, so we realize that KJV, NKJV or King James Version, NKJV, New King James Version, New American Standard Bible, and the ESV and RSV tend to go more formal. But the more I would say, let us say, more formal. Yeah. The more you go to the left, they are going more formal. Then the more I will call the other side. Now we'll call free home. So you realize that Bibles like NLT, New Living Translation, Bibles like
Bible, GNB.
Yes, all these Bibles are they tend to leave that and the message make an answer in the Living Bible. They are more paraphrase and free Bible. So yes, sir, it will determine. It will influence your Bible studies.
A friend is saying, on your bako or a doctor, MIT. Before you ever having this conversation or sending in question, and I would like to just quickly read it now. What the air canon.
Sure.
Maybe for I don't know if it will be okay for me to mention his name. But the question is, what's the best English Bible to have? The question on the sending me WhatsApp. No. Okay. I say what's the best English Bible to have? And I think mentioning this will be interesting for you to comment.
Yes, let me comment on that. Well,
yes. Can we go back to the chat or it's okay?
Yes, it's okay. All right. The chat, I think the chat now I the Juma crazy.
Sure.
But my main can say they didn't my main issue a question.
Sure.
The Bible udipani use does not determine say or kind of create and or throw. Does not necessarily determine.
Okay.
The inequality you take some entrenched position say well the Bible you are using into yes. And I say it's a test of fellowship and I say one man here free Christ and I say no, it doesn't mean that.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that. Just that the Bible you are using can cause damage to what you know because you are reading it. All the mention it's okay kind. In this Bible now we use to say if there's a problem you will carry it along.
That's true.
It might inform your decision about your doctrine and it can inform that. So as long as a independent church are thrown in there, then we can't say why our money free Christian and our teacher free Christian. We can't say that. But see which version is
the best. Straight to the point.
We can also pick a single version. But I'll pick three. For any Bible student bia or person or tin yakopon asamase na eboa no hu yakopon se yakopon asamo ka no na eboa no e wo nkyerɛkyerɛ mu ne nioma yakopon asamo ka no a person should have a Bible translation like KJV, the King James Version, also or we say ASV,
the King James Version,
ASV, yes, ASV, KJV, and possibly New King James Version. All of the that three na about ni nyina our problems. I hope to discuss at length.
When they say how me pese obi bisa question we will happen. Yeah. Now message so be my list ni bio. The obo so see.
I said
some what I said
the first one is KJV, King James Version.
Okay.
Which I like. Me tell you some more.
King James,
King
not
James
NKJV.
No, I'll talk about NKJV.
Okay.
First one I'm able to King James Version, which
sure.
I like to use more, and I'll be telling you why, and I'll point issues also with it for you. So I'm not saying that the party use KJV or heaven.
Sure.
And how use KJV or
yes,
it doesn't mean that. It doesn't
okay.
mean that.
Okay.
But KJV, I believe KJV is close to close to the English text as possible that we can.
Okay.
ASV2 is close to the English text, the Greek text as possible as we can.
Okay.
Indeed, KJV and ASV are very good translations. Very, very good translations.
KJV
and ASV. They are very, very good translations for Obi or person or Tina Copas no Shin and Mias not yes.
Sure.
But another translation bet me about concerning NKJV.
NKJV.
Yes, because NKJV no a busy a little about KJV no. Now there are a lot of some issues with it, but not much. I think it will be all kind of might not have a lot of dangers ahead of him on using that translation. But so Busasa, that's what I can talk about that. But back to our discussion, say Yakasafa underline testing. Yakasafa underline testing.
I wanted to ask something before you move on. Just because okay, so now we know KJV, ASV or NKJV. What about NASB?
NASB also have a lot of issues, which I will be bringing them up.
So it is maybe
I don't want us to. I don't want us to. Mama versions.
Yes.
I believe that it's close to the Greek text.
Yes.
But all the versions are the common version that we have.
NIV.
We will be discussing them.
Okay.
Even King James, we will discuss
talk about it.
So I don't want us to go ahead of and a bit distracting the air cannon.
Okay.
Okay. But we will go in and even pointing out. But the person issue that disclaimer say.
Yeah.
I'm not someone who believe that. Say when you see KJV and KJV oh common sense them, and I use KJV I kind of correct.
Okay.
There are people who teach that.
Yes, because there are actually congregations here in Ghana I've not seen, but outside I know.
Ghana because we are English is the second
primary. Yes, outside I know there are congregations that are very specific. When you preach now about the Kasanawa and for NKJV, they'll have issues with you.
Yes, I don't believe we should. It should be a test of fellowship on that, but. The internet now call KJV only people. Yes. There are plenty on the internet,
so
and
much.
They believe that KJV no nyakopon to buy. They believe that the KJV is God inspired. I don't think say a better right say unipa be take that issue because there are issues which we will discuss that in detail. Yeah. But moving from the translation philosophy, I want to show you the translation difficulty. Translation enya de kitwasa. It's difficult. Now didn't say difficult on several accounts. I'll give a few. Na yetimi akwenim kakra. The first thing I want to show you is parent language in any original reader's language, at times their word structure is different. The kind of for instance, we take Greek. The Greek word order is different from how English have word order. English we have subject, verb, predicate, things like that, maybe adverb, those things you have them.
That subject verb agreement structure.
That structure, no.
Yeah.
So Greek more it requires it's different. See, the word can be somewhere we were how adverb be something like that. The word order is different, and that makes it difficult translating. So, say for instance, we take it will be word for word translation. So pick word we not translate, pick word translate. Now all tries will be read here. You tend to see that it doesn't make sense to the English reader. That is a difficulty in the English in translating. So the translator have to find out how I'll be timiamboa. Nama they all translate etimiamba kasamwa unipa or tie na all can kind or brofumuno can understand that. So what TNT say Greek and Hebrew word order is different from the word from the English word order. And we will look at some of the Yebesha and Kakra. Send a bit Matthias. I don't know things when say. You see, at times to translators, literal rendition of a word makes it difficult for the English reader to understand. This I'll give an example in the Bible.
Okay.
Let's go to Acts chapter 17.
Acts chapter 17.
Yes.
Patro say OTA away apologetic CHARIOT TV ejumedie so na yesrew so be koso ahye ama afoforo so na omo so say tumi aka Acts chapter 17 verse number 18.
Okay, I said Acts chapter 17 na Paul ako Athens.
Yeah.
The Athens na Udu Krumo na Osheshe Krumo na market place
known God.
Yes. And you realize that these people are knowledgeable, but they seem to be practicing false gods, those things. So he started preaching or kasa or wow. And Athens for no monte Nioma Akwane can answer that. So they brought him to a place of central discussion.
No.
Yes. Yeah. Don't place no kasa. So Paul can answer. Now before Omodin Ombahol, didn't you ask him Acts chapter 17, verse number 18.
18 they say, then certain Epicurean and Stoic philosophers encountered him, and some said, what does this babbler want to say? Others said, he seems to be a proclaimer of foreign gods because he preached to them Jesus and the resurrection.
Good. And the word that a person pay attention is the word babbler.
Babbler, yeah.
Good. It's from the word spermalogos. Logos,
okay.
See, sperm has something to do with seed. So
yes.
literally, if you are translating it literally, it has something to do with seed picking.
Seed picking. Okay.
So you see, seed picking will make sense to us in English. The idea they are carrying around, they looked at Paul as someone who is like I say, meta scrap. You see, they look at Paul as someone who stands on bolaso. Now nimdia mouth worker, he's kind of picking.
No, no. So use goose.
So that word when translated literally means a seed picker. But if you put seed picker in the text, it doesn't make sense to the English reader.
Okay.
That is why the English reader is the translator and they say this babbler. You might be thinking, who is a babbler? It might not make sense, yeah, but that is how they saw it. So at times, some of the words, literal rendition becomes difficult for the English reader to appreciate. That is why at times you see, say yes, there. Your mouth insight into say word Greek word we literally means this. Now mouth picture, you tend to appreciate the AC word than trying to translate it in English.
Yeah.
Because it's difficult at times getting the words in Greek, to English. A bit the exact thought and exact picture of English reader. Another thing, so I'm in terms of translation difficulties. So you see, aside the words being difficult to translate, some of the words being difficult to translate into language literally, some words being so translating in the same way in all passages, it sometimes give you problem. Okay. Say the own word do a verse we near translating literally translating we also I could the same word in another passage the same way, it gives you a problem. Let me give you an example. You go Acts chapter 1 verse number 18.
Acts 1 verse number 18. 1:18 essay. Now this man purchased a field.
He's talking about Judas Iscariot.
Yes. He purchased a field with the wages of iniquity. And falling headlong, he burst open in the middle. All of his entrails gushed out.
All of his entrails. The word I'm here interested in is the word entrails. And it's coming from a word called splanchion. Yes.
Okay.
And that word has something to do with entrails, like the intestines. Good. But let me give you a passage that is translated differently. Look at Philippians chapter 1.
Philippians chapter 1.
Yes.
Philippians
chapter 1
verse numbered 1 verse
8
say, for God is my witness, how greatly I long for you, all with the affection of Jesus Christ.
Good. Is the word affection here? The word affection is the same word that appears in Acts chapter 1 verse number 18. But in Acts chapter 1 it's translated, another translation will say bowels, other will say entrails. You see, in Acts chapter 1 it literally meant Yemadie. But in Philippians chapter 1, you can't translate it with Yemadie, intestines. It will make sense. It will make sense to the English reader.
Yes.
So literally, you say, oh, where the corner you translated it the same way in multiple, it becomes difficult. But they said that translate and they say affection.
Yes.
Why? Because the Greeks think that affection originates from your bowels. What thing can that is why I'll say, Medomo, I long for you with the affection of Christ. From the
free.
The bottom of my heart.
Yeah,
something like that. Yes.
In general, how translate it? The bottom of my heart. At the about you, man. Me do free. Donko. Yes, some way. I get translating from 1.2.
Yes. So at times it becomes very, very difficult for the translators. So we shouldn't even bond them. I say translation. Translation therefore is not. It's tedious. Aside knowing the Greek or the Hebrew to that extent,
putting it into that
it's not easy. It's not easy job. So these are some of the bases I think we need to understand and appreciate English translations.
Wow.
And that is how it is.
I mean, it's not an easy work. Even you listening and myself listening, you realize, hey, kakriya yawa we ni krampo apologetic aso no krampo no. Hey, easy. Na obi a washada jibre say, ne dwuma ya ne say, oye translations. Maybe later in the future, so let me have even translation in cheese, because the way we are being detailed with the English, I'm wondering if that is the same thing it is for our tree language. And I say I don't know, but maybe we later on we spend some time looking at those things. Translation as well. It's been a great discussion. It's been an year time also. See, I'm going to hear no. Now I did so aggressive for I mean a village boy ke me fa ne sa enti no me adofo no ye da wase se o kan ho na oni esua da bedu sam pempen so yi we apologetic na answer na ye be kono be ma preacher the last words in about 1 to 2 minutes often to jana so be che obi anasa obi bi o de be kan sema nkoma ye di ne ho na o de aka ho na yakọ na ye kai wo say because so I share video am for unya subscribe ya but more than subscribe so I share video na be do this point there now subscribe ya mesrel subscribe na be kebusia no ne nyina da ne de nyina intumi nsua ne enche nyankopon asem and this man now the betu
man no jisem am di twa to just to encourage ashefo. Okay. See, we have the privilege of technology at our disposal.
Yeah.
See, your Bible or phone, so your Bible or tablet, so your audio Bible,
yes.
Your Bible in hard copy, and it's a whole lot. Technology at our disposal. But a very sad for us on the judgment day to stand and be very ignorant about the Bible.
Yeah.
And it's proven time and time. Say, the generation as time of technology ban. Now we are becoming more ignorant about the Bible because we have the Bible at our disposal. I bet me rich so much, but a lot of people don't pay attention trying to read the Bible. They don't pay attention. Inti me encourage me nyano. Any ashefo na me sere won so. If you say asmafo nyima eti dun so, ni mudu baako. Won konko ni dia dance here. O say juda for wa heyi ye chen, won mo won Thessalonica. Oyi won yem pefe ti asem. Na da o retren sem ni mu say Niama what it is and it was not an easy task back then to search the scriptures daily. Back then, easy task.
When you didn't have it like we have it.
Yeah, they don't have it bound copy. You bet me.
Revelation, you have all of them together.
Isaiah scrolls were like five scrolls. I can see 5. Isaiah were 5 scrolls. Can you imagine opening an Isaiah scroll and even going to find a particular verse you are looking for will be tedious. It may encourage me and say, let us take the opportunity we have now and study the Bible.
Great. Dr. James White, may I sure say what in the end? As some kind say we are in the best position to reconstruct the text of the Bible, if not to the original, close to the original. Yet this is the time also a man for entire kind Bible. Near show Christ say, Obejibre for Bible no, Nejibre Nisuya na yankwaje no entimi endimu. Midi Derrick Danso, Jumedi no apologetic Nyankopon adma next week same time same day Thursday 6 p.m. ni aba on chain ni esua onyankopon asem enkomo ye di ye wie kra ye be ba on chain biom ni esua say can I trust my English Bible yakobi bia ye brother Abraham so ase say otena emfidie rechi no odane da ni bibia e ma ye onyankopon on hia ne pa yakobi bia ye be hia bio
Sa,